How can it be a 15-inch powered subwoofer with a 500-watt amp for only $240? Let's find out. If you've been in the market for a 15-inch powered home theater subwoofer, you notice there's quite a range of prices, usually in the $1,000 to $2,000 range, but you may find some as inexpensive on sale as the Parts Express Dayton Audio sub for around $260, but it's more typical to see them around $600 like this Klipsch SPL 150. Then brands like SVS has the SB 5000 Evolution for $2,000, but somebody else says,
beer, Totem beer.
That's right, JL, otherwise known as Garmin Audio, with the $25,000 Gotham sub. But you know, we weren't born with that silver spoon in our mouth, so we're always looking for the best deal for the money. We came across this Rockville Rock Shaker 15 for $240, and you know we had to get one and find out what it's all about. And here's a huge box the Rockville Rock Shaker 15 comes in. And as always, we're going to show you the pro move on how to open up a box. Not from the top, but we'll open it from the bottom. What this does, it allows you to lift the box off instead of lifting the heavy product outside of the box. Now this one happened to be double boxed, so we had to do it twice. That just gave us a little extra time to show off my pro skills of unboxing a home theater subwoofer. Let's get to what's inside the package here and take a closer look. Now Rockville offers 3 different finishes. We happen to go with the traditional black vinyl finish, which looks pretty cool here. As far as dimensions go, for the height, 22 inches, for the width, 18.5, and for the depth, 15 3/4. Also, it weighs 46 pounds or 20.9 kilograms. I understand prices change over time, but at the time of the video, $240 would get you this subwoofer shipped to your door. So we got one shipped to our door. Let's take off this front protective grill, and here you can see the subwoofer with 2 large ports. That's right, this is a ported 15-inch powered subwoofer. And speaking of subwoofer, here you can see it's got a nice thick surround. It has ports made by Rick. They have flare.
And this is nonsense.
But we will see the inside later on, which is not nonsense. Let's get back to the outside. On the back, you can see the plate amplifier, Rockville Rock Shaker 15, and let's look at all the different options we have, which are quite a few here for this $240 sub. First off, we'll notice the power LED, which is green. We like green and not red because green means good. Also, we have the volume control, which controls the level of the sub. We have the frequency adjustment, which is variable from 50 to 150 hertz. We also have a physical switch for flipping the subwoofer off or on. And below that, we have the power plug for 110, 220, 50, or 60 hertz. And it does come with the cable, of course, as well, which is about 6 foot in length. We also have RCA Tiffany style inputs and outputs, which is pretty impressive for this really inexpensive sub. Below that, we have a phase control, either 0 or 180. It's not variable. It's either 0 or 180. And as long as you have the physical switch to on, you have an option for the sub either off, auto, or on. But wait, there's more. Say you don't have a subwoofer or preamp level output. We have speaker level inputs using binding posts. Also, we have outputs so you can take it directly to your speakers, your main speakers through the amp. And we also have a Rockville logo showing the peeps you mean business.
This is not a Mickey Mouse program.
Those who have seen my videos before may disagree. Now, as far as the specs and features, 1000 watt peak 500 watt RMS Class D amplifier, top grade MDF wood, high grade vinyl enclosure, Class D amplifier, we already said that, high grade woofer. Woofer has Y30 magnet, 2-inch voice coil, and more. Now, the first thing we have to do is verify this RMS output of 500 watts. Because you know me, I want to know what the true output power is. So we took off the screws off the back and took a look at this amplifier, and right off the bat, I could tell you it's not a 500 watt RMS 1000 watt peak amp.
They're just plain out lying to you.
So upon closer inspection, we're getting ready to show you the audio amplifier chip, which is on this board, and it is the MA5332MS. And they may be saying, well, what the heck does that mean? Well, I'm finna show you if you'll stay here. There's the audio chip, very small. Well, we pull up the spec sheet, 150 watts at 2 ohms, 200 at 4 ohms, or 160 at 6 ohms. So this is not 600 watts, but you know what we're going to do. That's right, we're going to put it on the amp dyno and try it. First up, 8 ohms. Let's find out what it does. We don't know if it's rated at 8 ohms or 4 ohms, so we'll try 8 first. And there you go, 70 watts. You cannot even look at the voltage there on the right because we do have it plugged into the wall. The voltage here is just for the amp dyno. Let's send that pulse tone of 40 hertz into the amp. And here you can see not a whole lot more, 72 watts at 8 ohms. But we're not sure that the woofer is 8 ohms or 4 ohms yet. So let's go ahead and try it 4 ohms, and we'll assume it's still rated 500 watts RMS because that's what they tell us. Certified test takes us up to 1% distortion, 40 hertz track, and we get 126 watts. So well shy of the 500 watt RMS number. Now we did try it uncertified, which takes us up to the clipping point. So let's try that and see what we get. And here you go. We're getting close to 150, but we got 147 at 4 ohms. And then we sent the dynamic track, which sends a pulse tone, kind of like a kick drum, into the amplifier. Can we get more power? Actually, we get a little bit less than we got uncertified. We get 142 watts at 4 ohms. Here are all the tests you just saw. We did do some lower ohm tests as well, 2.6 ohms. Find out if it did up to 500 watts, but you have to watch all the way to the end of the video. We'll show that at the very end. Next up, we're going to try some real world tests with music and movies. First up, music. Start it up, Big D. It's really difficult to portray sound quality of subwoofers over video. I would just say it sounded okay with music, but I wasn't overly impressed. Let's move on to movies. That's right, we put this in our theater so we could try it out, listen to a few of our favorite movies, including Jurassic Park, Tron, Top Gun Maverick, and Terminator 2. Of course, Jurassic Park is a classic, and the part where the T-Rex is stomping and you can see the water in the glass shake, so cool. Subwoofer performed really well for this part. I was impressed. Moved on to Tron. Tron's got some awesome sounds, and the subwoofer was shaking the room. It was very impressive. And I did demos with the other ones as well. And to be honest, I was kind of blown away with the bass output from this Rockville cheap sub. You might want to recommend anybody nearby not to put on makeup at the time. Also, you may cause problems at the local grocery store, so make sure you're easy with that volume knob. Now it's time to remove the subwoofer so we can take a closer look and see what it's all about. And here you can see overall it's not terribly bad. There's a magnet structure on the bottom. It's not a huge magnet, around 48 ounce or so. And then you can see the stamped steel basket. You can see the 2-inch voice coil that they said it had, which is true. And here's the box with the flared ports. Has a little bit of polyfill there to keep the resonance going. About 16 gauge speaker wire, so nothing too huge. Here you can see the stamped steel basket here on the woofer. Also, you can see the pressed paper cone, and you'll see there's the spider, and there you'll see the foam surround, which is kind of thick. It's not really that bad of a subwoofer, not terrible. We did measure 3.5 ohms of resistance, so we'll assume the amplifier is rated at 4 ohms. Now let's talk about the pros and cons of the Rockshaker 15. First up, the price cannot be beat. $240 is inexpensive. It does have a 15-inch driver. It also has RCA inputs and pass-through outputs, as well as high-level inputs and outputs in case you don't have preamp outs from your device. I would say this sub excels with movies, so for your home theater. Things that could be better, the 150 watt amp is not a 500 watt amp. There's no LFE input. You may need to use an RCA splitter because you will need to use the left and right RCA inputs. Also, there's limited bass below 30 hertz, but we don't expect anything more for this cheap sub. And it's okay, but not great with music. So there you have my review of the Rockville Rockshaker 15, one of the cheapest 15-inch powered subwoofers that you can get for your home theater. Overall, it's not bad, but it's not great either. I mean, you can't expect a whole lot for $240, and I think this sub actually delivered a little bit more than I expected. I only wish they were more honest with the power output ratings of the amplifier. It's about 150 watt plate amp. It's not a 500 watt RMS amplifier. Now there are a few more inexpensive 15-inch powered subs. I noticed one that Parts Express has. Also, there's one on Amazon that's a little bit cheaper than this one. If you guys want to see a review of those, let me know below. And those who stuck around to the end, yes, we're going to show the 2.6 ohm mono run here of the Rockville Rockshaker 15 amplifier. Here we go. 40 hertz, certified to 1% distortion, 159 watts. What about uncertified up to the clipping point? Let's try it again. Is it possible? Can we get 200? Here we go. And not quite. 184 at 2.67 ohms. What about dynamic? Sending the dynamic pulse track into the amp. Can we get the 200 watts? Nope, not going to get there. Not too far though. 175 at 2.67 ohms. Thanks always for watching. Till next time, Big D, I'm out of here.